Hybe's statement didn't avoid specifying endorsements. Jungkook's face has become a symbol not just of music, but of aesthetics, of aspiration. Global brands sought him as muse, as spokesperson. Luxury fashion houses, tech giants, lifestyle labels, they all craved association with that rare blend of humility and magnetism he embodies. Each contract carried numbers significant in themselves, but when added together, they reshaped his financial landscape. Watching Jungkook align with these brands isn't about seeing him sell products. It's seeing him define culture. In every campaign, he offers more than promotion, he gives credence. Hybe's revelation points to Jungkook asserting greater control over his intellectual property. Songwriting credits, publishing rights, ownership stakes, all of that shifted. In a system where artists often relinquish those rights early, Jungkook's maneuver marks maturity. New music not only stands on his voice, it stands on his terms. Since creatives often get the smaller shares, this recalibration yields amplified returns now. Each melody he crafts, each lyric he owns, flows into earnings that would have before dissipated in intermediaries. That decision, bold as it is, resonates deeper than finance. It is the claim of creator over creation. It is proof that his evolution is not just visible, it is rightful. Jungkook no longer sings to fandoms that have loved him long. This year, his audience broadened in directions unimagined. Songs in multiple languages, collaborations across borders, and appearances that drew new ears. Listeners who once knew him only by name now felt his artistry. Digital platforms registered streams from places previously quiet. Social media metrics show surges from regions where English, Korean, or other languages are barriers, but in his voice, those barriers melted. The magic lies in his universality. He doesn't just cross borders, he makes them irrelevant. And when hearts across continents answer in song, wealth follows, but something more precious emerges: connection. Hybe's declaration underlines a spike in Jungkook's live income. Solo concerts, global tours, no longer dependent threads of larger tours, became his own narratives. Venues sold out rapidly. Meet and greets, VIP packages, special editions, all segments that carry higher profit margins. Every show became not just performance, but event. These weren't just moments on stage, they were affirmations that he commands presence alone. When Jungkook steps into the spotlight and holds it, the world leans in. Because we are reminded of something vital: talent that transcends group dynamics. Watching him perform solo is witnessing a declaration. He stands capable, luminous enough. Beyond music and endorsements, Jungkook explored merchandising that felt personal, rather than mass saturations. Items curated with intention, rare art pieces, limited edition fashion, collaborative designs that refract his taste. Fans invested not merely in fandom, but in artifacts, touchpoints of admiration. Hybe pointed to these collections as revenue multipliers. They are not side streams, they are integral to his brand ecosystem. The beauty of those ventures lies in thoughtfulness. He might mass produce, but never mass appeal in the generic sense. Each piece reflects what he values, and in that reflection, others see themselves or who they want to be. By this point, the picture is clear. Hybe's announcement wasn't exaggeration, it was a ledger coming to life. The gears that lifted his wealth are visible. Solo artistry, brand alliances, ownership shifts, global expansion, live shows, curated merchandise, each one potent, each one intentional. Together, they don't just explain richness, they justify reverence. Jungkook isn't rich because of luck. Richness happened because he made every move count. Everything seen so far converges into pathways. The shift in wealth didn't occur by chance. It happened through choices made deliberately, moments seized. Below are the currents beneath Jungkook's rise streams of action that converged this year to bring about explosive growth. The core of artistry is often compromised by external forces, labels, expectations, commercial molds. This year, Jungkook reclaimed that core. He insisted on creative input, choosing beats, exploring themes, shaping visual aesthetics for his music videos. Instead of being presented choices, he presented them. That clarity of vision turned every release into a statement. Fans and critics alike sensed sincerity, not polish for the sake of marketability, but craft for connection. There is courage in rejecting convenience. Jungkook's ascent is rooted in refusing to settle. When one paints with one's own palette, rather than borrowed ones, color becomes authentic and value shines through. Part of what Hybe noted was Jungkook's strategic timing, not merely releasing songs when trends peaked, but creating moments, aligning drops with cultural tides, holidays, global events, social buzz, so that his music didn't just enter the stream, it became the stream. The presence of anticipation, scarcity, surprise they amplified. He didn't rush, he punctuated. Instead of flooding the market with output, he spaced creations so each felt anticipated, so each held weight. In a world where noise threatens meaning, choosing silence between the echoes is wise. Jungkook mastered not only being heard, but being awaited. The world syndicates art, but what reverberates is truth. Jungkook's public persona didn't shift this year toward polished perfection. He embraced vulnerability, sharing doubts, showing growth, revealing labor behind stage lights. Through interviews, through performances, through subtle gestures, fans saw the person, not just the idol. That human dimension deepens loyalty, and loyalty transforms into sustained revenue. Pre-orders, streaming repeat listens, attending shows not because of fame, but because of affection. Authenticity isn't just honest, it is magnetism. When someone lets us in, we stay, and where we stay, we invest. Jungkook's digital savvy isn't accidental. Hybe detailed how his online presence this year wasn't just posting, it was curating experiences. Behind the scenes, interactive content, documentary-like moments offering depth. Social platforms didn't just broadcast, they invited. Fans didn't just observe, they participated. This two-way bridge fuels algorithms, shares, trending tags. Each video upload becomes a ripple, each live stream a wave. Monetization from content, not just music, becomes essential. This is the era where presence equals power. Jungkook understands that the viewer's eye, the consumer's heart, is drawn as much by process as product. So he reveals process and gains power. Though the demand is to focus wholly on Jungkook, we cannot ignore that he reached beyond familiarity. He chose collaborators not for name alone, but for contrast voices and styles that challenged his own. Those songs invited crossover listeners, people who hadn't followed him previously. Cultural references blended, languages merged, musical styles fused. In those fusions, Jungkook's identity didn't dilute, it expanded. True artistry doesn't stay within lines. Jungkook's collaborations are signs. He isn't satisfied with echo, he desires expansion. And in that reach, his influence and his earnings soar. Hybe's shock wasn't just about revenue, it was about how wisely that revenue has been managed. Royalty rates negotiated better, contracts re-examined, investments made into his own projects. Instead of letting intermediaries take large slices, Jungkook ensured he retained stakes ownership where possible. Some profits routed into long-term projects, catalog expansion, multimedia content, visuals. This preserves income beyond the moment. Wealth becomes not simply possession, but legacy. Some believe wealth is what's earned. Jungkook shows wealth is what one preserves, and in preserving wisely, one secures permanence. Above all else, what Hybe emphasized is that Jungkook hasn't become complacent. Each project released this year shows growth. Vocally stronger, performance tighter, emotional pull deeper. Music doesn't repeat formulas. Visuals don't rehash past hits. He experiments within his aesthetic without losing what makes him recognizable. Fans sense when energy is real. Listeners tune in when passion feels alive. That consistency, not perfection, but care, fuels momentum. Rising suddenly is easy when one buys fame. Staying elevated demands integrity. Jungkook's trajectory this year reveals someone who believes deeply in the craft, not just in its rewards. Those forces combined autonomy, timing, authenticity, digital fluency, collaborations, financial savvy, and relentless consistency were the engine under the wealth. Each one strong, together unstoppable. Hybe's statement makes sense only when one realizes it's not about luck or hype, it's about a chain of choices, each linked, each intentional. And that chain leads directly to Jungkook. Understanding causes is vital, but witnessing effects reveals true magnitude. This section explores what the surge in wealth means for Jungkook, for fans, for artistry, and concludes on what this transformation might herald for the future. With increased resources comes increased liberty. Jungkook no longer must compromise vision for financial security. He can select projects aligning with his beliefs, choose how and when to release, shape his performances without external molds. That sense of control enhances not only profit lines but purpose. When an artist owns time, decisions, expression, wealth becomes a tool for fulfillment, not simply accumulation. The greatest riches are those that grant freedom. Jungkook's ascent seems to have bought him space to grow, to explore, to be himself without filters. Fans are more than consumers, they are witnesses. As Jungkook's income rose, he didn't detach. Rather, he drew thousands more close. More intimate content, more shared vulnerabilities, more artistic risk, each reached others in ways that transcend monetary value. The trust between artist and listener deepens when success is visible yet grounded in sincerity. Fans feel part of the journey, not just beneficiaries of entertainment. Emotional wealth sometimes surpasses financial wealth. The applause, the tears, the resonance they sustain more than bank balances. Jungkook nurtures not just fans, guardians of his art. Hybe's revelation sends tremors across entertainment. Jungkook's model owning rights, releasing selectively, valuing authenticity, is showing what success can look like beyond mass production. Other artists, managers, labels will observe. Contracts may shift, revenue splits may change. Expectations around creative ownership might tilt. The blueprint Jungkook is laying could reframe what aspiring artists aim for. It's thrilling to imagine the legacy he will leave, not merely songs, not merely wealth, but a transformation in how artists are valued. If his climb resets norms, then his wealth is more than personal triumph, it is collective possibility. Although Hybe praises the climb, there's implicit tension. Maintaining growth once rapid rise slows. The demand increases, expectations heighten, artistic pressure intensifies. With growing wealth, scrutiny sharpens. Choices are weighted more heavily. As Jungkook builds up, every misstep risks being magnified. But given how he structured ownership, artistic control, and authenticity, those risks are mitigated. The foundation he lays is strong enough to sustain creative renewal. The biggest test isn't earning wealth. It is sustaining purpose when less immediate reward seems possible. So far, Jungkook seems aligned with purpose. That alignment may protect him from complacency. HYBE didn't simply state numbers, they made a statement of value. By publicizing Jungkook's wealth surge, they acknowledged his worth in concrete terms. To shareholders, to industry watchers, to fans. It's rare for labels to highlight individual ascent so openly. This declaration serves both transparency and tribute. It signals that Jungkook is not just profitable but essential, that the faith invested in him is paying off and visible. In that shining declaration lies respect, not just from HYBE to Jungkook, but from society to his artistry. We often celebrate success when hidden. This makes it seen, admired, agreed. Looking ahead, the trajectory suggests greater things. Music that explores deeper themes. Visuals that push boundaries. Projects that extend beyond music, perhaps in film, in design, in immersive storytelling. Financial strength may embolden him to take risks others cannot. Because when constraints ease, creativity soars. It's likely Jungkook will continue refining not only style but substance. And fans worldwide will wait not out of expectation, but because his every next step promises something genuine. Hope is not a simple expectation. It is belief. I believe this year isn't Jungkook's apex, it is foundation. One built on strength, integrity, promise. HYBE's surprising statement about Jungkook's dramatic rise in wealth was never simply about numbers. It was about recognition of artistry, of intention, of leadership. Wealth soared because Jungkook chose to own his music, to live his art, to connect with honesty, to refuse shortcuts. Each decision, solo projects, endorsements, IP rights, global reach added not just income, but meaning. What he achieves financially, he achieves morally. In a world eager for manufactured stars, Jungkook remains distinctly his own. Watching this transformation isn't just inspiring, it's grounding. It reminds us that success is not accidental but intentional. That wealth, when built with care, reflects not only ability but heart. HYBE's announcement startled many, but for those who listened closely, it didn't surprise. Because Jungkook has always seemed destined for this moment. Rising, shining, wholly real,